I'm Alyssa, I'm 31, and my best friend of 10 years accused me of stealing, so I exposed her secret, and her world burned down faster than mine ever did. I don't even know how to begin this, honestly. Every time I try to explain what happened, people give me this look like they don't believe me. Like I must have done something to deserve it. But I swear on everything I have left, I didn't steal a damn thing, and yet I lost everything. My reputation. My job. My closest friendships. All because Claire decided I was an easy target. Claire and I met when we were both 21, working retail in this horrible department store that smelled like burnt popcorn and old carpet. She worked cosmetics. I was stuck folding jeans. Our bond started over our shared hatred of customers and management, and somehow, it grew into something deep: sleepovers, breakups, career changes, family emergencies. We went through it all together. I knew her social security number before I knew my own bank PIN. That's how close we were. So when she got engaged last year to this smug, overconfident guy named Eric, she didn't even hesitate before asking me to be her maid of honor. We were sitting on her couch, sipping cheap rose and screaming over the ring. I hugged her so hard I almost knocked the wine bottle off the table. "You're next," she said, poking my shoulder. I laughed and told her, "Girl, I'll be lucky if I die with a dog and a houseplant." We were happy. Or I thought we were. The real betrayal started with a spreadsheet. Claire had this idea to track all her wedding costs in one Google sheet. She asked me to help her build it since I'm good with money and tech stuff. I said yes, obviously. I spent 2 hours setting it up, separate tabs for vendors, deposits, guest list, everything. We even linked it to her wedding account, just for tracking. She gave me the login, the same way she gave me her Wi-Fi password. Casually. Trustingly. It wasn't weird at the time. None of it was weird until the morning she turned on me like a stranger. I was sitting at my desk, minding my own business, when I got a text that made my whole body go cold. "Claire, we need to talk. I can't believe you'd do this to me." No context. No emojis. Just that. I called her immediately. She didn't answer. 10 minutes later, a second text. "Claire, I checked the wedding fund last night. $5,000 is missing. You're the only other person with access. I'm giving you one chance to admit it. CME, Claire, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't touch anything. Claire, I don't want excuses. Just send the money back." Then she sent me a Venmo request. $5,000. With a note, "Return what you took." I didn't know whether to scream or throw up. I had to go into a meeting right after, and I swear I don't remember a single thing anyone said. My ears were ringing. I couldn't focus. All I kept thinking was, how could she think I'd do something like that? That night, I drove straight to her house. I didn't even knock. I just banged on the door like someone possessed. She answered in a robe, her face all puffy like she'd been crying. "Claire," I said, "what the hell is going on?" She didn't let me in. She just stood there with her arms crossed. I checked the account. "The money's gone. You were the only other person who had the login." I blinked at her, my heart racing. "Claire, are you seriously accusing me of stealing?" "I don't want to believe it," she said, her voice breaking just a little. "But how else do you explain it?" "I didn't touch your money," I said, voice shaking. "I helped you build a budget. That's it. You gave me access." "Exactly," she snapped. "And now it's gone." She slammed the door before I could say another word. That weekend, she removed me from the bridal party. Sent me a cold email. CC'd her fiancé. Said it was for the best. She told people I borrowed the money and refused to return it. She made it sound like she was heartbroken over it, like I was some desperate friend who needed a handout and chose to take it instead of ask, and people believed her. Mutual friends started dropping me. At first it was subtle. Texts left unanswered. Group chats suddenly quiet. Then I heard the rumors. That I'd been gambling. That I was behind on rent. That I was jealous of her engagement. That one hurt the most, because I wasn't jealous. I was proud of her. I was happy for her. And she destroyed me anyway. My job caught wind of it too. Someone forwarded the Venmo screenshot Claire had shared in a private Facebook group. HR pulled me in, said they needed to investigate the rumors. I worked in finance, trust matters. I didn't get fired, but the damage was done. I felt like I was walking through glass every time I stepped into the office. People stopped looking me in the eye. I cried every night for 2 weeks. Not over the job. Not over the gossip. Over Claire. She was my best friend. My person. And she turned the world against me without even blinking. But the worst part, she wasn't lying about the money. It was gone. What she didn't realize, though, was that she left a trail. A sloppy, digital trail. And inside that trail was a voice memo she forgot she'd recorded. A voice memo where she said, word for word, if worst comes to worst, I'll just say Alyssa did it. She's too nice to fight back. She thought she deleted it, but I had already backed it up, and when I posted it, all hell broke loose. Back when I first met Claire, she felt like the kind of person you waited your whole life to find. We were 21, broke, frustrated, and barely making it through college. She had these ridiculous bangs and wore eyeliner like she was auditioning for a punk band, and I wore cardigans and carried a planner like I was already somebody's secretary. But it worked. We balanced each other. I gave her structure, she gave me spontaneity. At least that's how it felt back then. We bonded fast. Late night drives with no destination, crying over bad hookups and broken families, laughing until we couldn't breathe in the back of an Uber after one too many margaritas. Claire was the first person who didn't make me feel like I had to earn my spot in her life. She just gave it. Freely. Easily. That kind of friendship messes with your head. It makes you blind to red flags, and looking back now, there were plenty. It started with little things. Like how Claire always forgot her wallet when we went out. Or how she'd borrow my clothes and swear she returned them, only for me to find them weeks later crumpled on her bedroom floor. She always had an excuse. Always a way to spin things into charm. Oh my God, I totally meant to Venmo you. I'm the worst. You're just so organized. I need you in my life. Please don't be mad. I'll fix it, I promise. And every time, I believed her. I didn't want to be the friend who kept score. When she lost her job junior year, I let her crash on my couch for 3 months. When her car got towed, I paid the impound fee. When she forgot to register for spring classes and missed the deadline, I walked with her to the admin office and helped her beg for reinstatement. It was always something with Claire. And I always showed up, because I loved her. That's the part that's hardest to admit now. I didn't just care about her. I loved her. Deeply. Fiercely. I would have taken a bullet for her. And for a long time, I thought she'd do the same for me, but I was wrong. The cracks started to show more after college. We both moved to Atlanta. I got an entry-level job in accounting at a small firm. Claire bounced around between bartending and odd marketing gigs. She called it freelancing. I called it what it was, avoiding commitment. Still, we made it work. We shared a 2-bedroom apartment for a while. Had Sunday brunch traditions. Watched Grey's Anatomy on Thursday nights with wine and face masks. We were closer than most married couples, but as we hit our late 20s, something in her changed. She started comparing everything. I got a promotion? She'd bring up how her new client was basically a startup genius. I bought a new car? She'd suddenly hate her old one and talk about trading up. When I got a raise, she said, must be nice having a boring job where people actually give you money just for showing up. And I'd laugh it off, because that's what you do when you're scared to lose someone. You swallow the insults. You excuse the digs. You tell yourself, she didn't mean it like that. But it got worse when she met Eric. Eric was the kind of guy who could smell vulnerability. Good-looking in a generic way, obsessed with tech jargon and crypto, always acting like he was 2 seconds away from discovering the next Uber. He was charming when you wanted to be, but cold. Dismissive. Arrogant. From the moment they started dating, Claire changed. She stopped talking to me as much. Her texts got shorter. Her energy shifted. I remember the first time I met Eric. We had drinks at this rooftop bar downtown. I wore a dress I thought made me look cute, nothing flashy, but he barely looked at me, barely acknowledged me at all. He called me Allie, even though I hate that nickname. When Claire went to the bathroom, he leaned over and said, "So, you're the accountant friend?" Just like that. Like I was some tax robot who lived to file 1099s. I smiled and said, "Yeah. And you're the guy pretending his crypto wallet is a personality." He laughed. But it wasn't warm. It was the kind of laugh people do when they're sizing you up. And from that moment, I knew he didn't like me. Not really. And more importantly, he didn't want me around. I don't know what he said to Claire behind closed doors, but after that night, things got weird. She started canceling plans more often. Started talking about boundaries, not in the healthy way, but in the you're too much kind of way. When I got excited about her wedding planning, she'd shut me down. I think I want a smaller bridal party, she said one night over dinner. Just sisters and cousins. You get it, right? I nodded, but my chest ached. You're still the maid of honor, though, she added quickly. Obviously. I laughed it off again. Told myself it was stress. That she'd come back to me after the wedding madness settled down. I didn't know she was already planning to make me the scapegoat. See, I didn't know about the money. Not until she accused me, but the truth is, Claire and Eric were in way over their heads. The wedding was way more expensive than she let on. She wanted a vineyard venue, designer dress, live band, all on a budget that didn't even cover the cake. Eric wasn't making as much as he claimed, and Claire's freelance work had dried up. I found this out later, of course, through bank statements and receipts. But at the time, she hid it well. All I knew was that one day, she went from my best friend to my enemy, and I was caught in the crossfire. The Venmo request. The messages. The cold stares from people I'd known for years. The way mutual friends slowly stopped inviting me to things. The whispers. Alyssa stole money from Claire's wedding fund. She's broke. Probably desperate. Honestly, I always thought she was jealous. It was like watching my life rot from the inside out, and I couldn't stop it. And all the while, Claire stayed silent. She didn't defend me. She didn't explain. She let the rumor grow like mold, until I found it, her voice. Her words. Buried in her iCloud backups. A voice memo she'd made months earlier while testing her phone's recording app. She was talking to Eric. Laughing, if worse comes to worst, I'll just say Alyssa took it. She's too sweet to fight back. And everyone already knows she's bad with money. They laughed together, like it was funny, like I was the joke. I stared at my phone for 10 full minutes after finding that file. My hands were trembling. My mouth was dry. It wasn't just betrayal. It was premeditated. She planned this. She created an escape route for herself, and I was the sacrifice, and in that moment, something in me snapped. No more silence. No more trying to be the bigger person. No more walking away to keep the peace. If she wanted a war, she was going to get one. I created a TikTok account I'd never used before. Threw on a hoodie. Sat on my couch with swollen eyes and hit record. I'm Alyssa. I'm 31. And my best friend just accused me of stealing $5,000 from her wedding fund. But what she doesn't know is I have her on tape, confessing to everything. Then I played the voice memo. I didn't name her. Not yet. But I didn't have to. The internet did the rest. The video exploded. I didn't expect it to go viral. Honestly, I thought maybe a few hundred people would see it. A couple supportive comments. Maybe some strangers saying you're better off without her. That kind of thing, but by the time I woke up the next morning, it had over 240,000 views. By noon, it was over 1.2 million. I sat on my couch, still wearing the same hoodie, staring at my phone like it was a live grenade. Comments were pouring in faster than I could read them. This is insane. She really thought she could get away with that. You better name names, girl. No, Alyssa, drop the name. I hope Claire and Eric get sued. What a pair of clowns. It was surreal. Some people tried to guess who it was. A few even tagged random influencers who had nothing to do with me. I didn't say anything. I didn't clarify. I just watched it unfold, this tidal wave of validation, this righteous anger rising up from complete strangers, and for the first time in months. I didn't feel crazy. That was the thing that stuck with me the most. The months I spent questioning myself. Maybe I had made a mistake. Maybe I had misunderstood the account access. Maybe I'd said something that upset Claire more than I realized. But no. I hadn't. She had planned it. She said it out loud. I had proof. And now the world knew. 2.it didn't take long for someone to do the digging. About 3 days after the video blew up, someone messaged me on Instagram. A woman named Taylor. Blonde. Mid-30s. Her profile picture showed her smiling with a French bulldog and a glass of wine. Hi, Alyssa. I think I know who your ex-friend is. If it's who I think, I have a story of my own. I hesitated before responding. I didn't want to turn this into a witch hunt. That wasn't the point, but I was curious. Me, not confirming anything, but I'm listening. Her response came fast. Taylor, did she live in Atlanta and used to bartend at Midtown Lounge? My stomach dropped. Midtown Lounge was where Claire worked on and off for years. A place I'd visited so often they gave me a discount. Me, yes. Taylor, her name's Claire P., right? Drives a white Range Rover. Me, maybe. Taylor, I used to be her roommate. She stole rent money from me in 2018. Lied about it. Said I must have spent it and forgotten. I found proof later, a Venmo trail where she sent it to her then boyfriend labeled emergency Botox. My jaw dropped. She attached screenshots, the payment, the caption. The lies.it was all right there. My heart was thudding so loud I could barely hear myself think. For a moment, all I could do was stare at my phone, blinking back tears. I wasn't the first. I probably wasn't even the 10th, and somehow, that made it worse. This wasn't a fluke. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was who Claire was. A habitual manipulator who used people and discarded them the second they became inconvenient. I kept hearing her voice in my head. If worse comes to worst, I'll just say Alyssa did it. The cruelty of that line still stung. Not just the lie, but the ease with which she said it. The casual certainty that I'd take it. That I'd be too quiet, too broken, too loyal to ever fight back. But I wasn't quiet anymore. I posted an update. This time, I added context. I didn't drop her full name, but I shared the screenshots from Taylor, with her permission, and said, turns out I wasn't the first. And probably not the last. You should know who you're trusting. That video? 5.8 million views. Claire's name was trending on Twitter by the next morning. Someone from high school shared prom photos. A girl she used to waitress with at a wedding venue posted a whole thread about how Claire once tried to blame her for a broken cake topper and nearly got her fired. Suddenly, it wasn't just a story. It was a pattern, and people were furious. The pressure reached a boiling point within days. Claire finally responded. She didn't tag me. Didn't message me privately. No apology. No explanation. She posted a 2-minute Instagram reel sitting on a white couch, wearing a beige sweater, her hair curled perfectly, face beat to perfection. She looked calm, but her eyes were tight. Hey guys, I just want to say I've seen the videos going around, and it's been a really overwhelming week. I never meant to hurt anyone. There's been a lot of misunderstanding, and I think some people are blowing things out of proportion. She tilted her head slightly, hands folded neatly in her lap. I'm not here to spread hate or relive drama. I've grown a lot in the past year. And I think people forget that what you see online is only one side of the story. That was it.no apology.no accountability. Just vague statements and victim mode. I watched the whole thing twice. Jaw clenched so hard it hurt. This was classic Claire. Minimize. Deflect. Play sweet. But the internet wasn't buying it. The comments tore her apart. So you did say it, but you're not sorry? This ain't a misunderstanding, babe. It's an audio recording. Not you pulling the beige couch apology aesthetic. Gaslight, gatekeep, gerboss, huh? I should have felt satisfied, but all I felt was tired. Exposing her didn't undo the pain. It didn't bring back my job or the friends I lost. It didn't erase the nights I cried myself to sleep wondering what I did wrong, but it did something else. It gave me back me. The version of me that knew the truth. That didn't second-guess everything. That didn't have to apologize for someone else's lies. And then something incredible happened. I got a message from a podcast host. Hi, Alyssa. Huge fan of your courage. Would love to have you on Unfiltered to share your story. It's powerful and more common than people think. At first, I hesitated. I'm not the kind of person who seeks attention. I'm not flashy. I don't like being in the spotlight, but this wasn't about attention. This was about truth. So I said yes. 2 weeks later, I sat in a small recording studio, mic in front of me, palms sweating. The host, Lila, smiled warmly across from me. Start wherever you want, she said. And I did. I told the whole story. From the spreadsheet to the accusation. From the audio file to the aftermath. I talked about what it felt like to be betrayed by someone you trusted with your whole heart. What it does to you. How it makes you question your worth. We laughed. We cried. We unpacked trauma I didn't even know I was still carrying, and when it aired, it resonated. People emailed. Dmed. Wrote letters. You told my story. This happened to me too. Thank you for being brave enough to speak out. Because of you, I finally stood up to the person who's been lying about me for years. Claire tried to make me small. Make me disappear, but all she did was light the match, and I made damn sure the truth burned bright enough for everyone to see. People think going viral fixes everything. That once the internet rallies behind you, everything just gets better, but that's not how it works. Yes, I had support now. Yes, strangers had come out of the woodwork to back me up, validate me, call Claire out for what she did. And yes, it helped, but nothing could undo the wreckage she left behind. The job I lost because of the Whisper campaign? Still gone. The friends who ghosted me when she spread the lie? Most never reached out. Not even after the audio dropped. Not even after the truth was shoved in their faces. And the anxiety? The hypervigilance? The constant dread in my chest that someone would turn on me again. Still there. That's the part no one talks about. The quiet after the storm. When the views plateau, when the hashtags fade, when the comments stop rolling in. You're left with the mess. The grief. The silence. It wasn't just betrayal. It was mourning. I mourned the version of myself who trusted too easily. I mourned the years I gave to someone who didn't deserve them. And most of all, I mourned the belief that loyalty guaranteed safety, because it doesn't. Not everyone who hugs you wants the best for you. I started therapy 2 weeks after the podcast aired. It wasn't some dramatic breakthrough moment. I didn't sit in a circle and sob. I found a local woman named Karen through a recommendation, and we started with Zoom sessions. I'd sit cross-legged on my bed in leggings and a hoodie, drinking peppermint tea while she asked soft, careful questions like, "When did you first notice Claire's behavior started to shift?" At first, I didn't want to go that deep. I wanted to keep it surface level. She used me. She lied. End of story. But Karen wouldn't let me off the hook. She kept digging. Why do you think you kept forgiving her when she crossed your boundaries? Who taught you that being quiet keeps you safe? What part of you still wants her to apologize? That last one shattered me, because even after everything, a part of me still did. I still had moments, stupid, quiet moments, where I picked up my phone and wanted to text her, not to scream. Not to rage. Ask her why. Why me? Why throw me under the bus? Why pretend we were friends while planning my downfall? But I never sent the message. I never broke the silence, because I didn't need more lies. I needed healing, and healing, as I learned, is slow. Some days I'd wake up with fire in my chest. Hope. Drive. I'd open my laptop and apply to jobs, go for a run, clean my apartment, blast music, and dance barefoot in the kitchen. Other days, I didn't leave the couch. I watched true crime documentaries and ate cereal straight from the box. I ignored texts. I let the dishes pile up. I cried when the theme song from a show we used to watch came on in the background of a commercial. Progress wasn't linear, but it was happening. I started journaling again. Just scribbles at first, angry ones, raw ones. I wrote letters to Claire that I never intended to send. I wrote affirmations I didn't believe yet. I wrote things like, "You were never the problem. You deserve real friendship. You can trust yourself again." And eventually, I started to believe them. The next big shift happened on a Tuesday in April, when I ran into someone I hadn't seen since the fallout. Lena. She and I were part of the same friend group, the one that disintegrated after Claire's accusation. Lena wasn't my best friend, but we had history. Brunches. Birthdays. Group chats. She was kind, funny, a little flaky, but harmless, until she vanished the second Claire told everyone I'd stolen the money. I ran into her at a Trader Joe's. I was reaching for a frozen flatbread when I heard her voice, "Alyssa." I turned, and there she was. Still petite, still chic in her oversized sunglasses and cropped cardigan. Her smile faltered the second she saw my face. "Oh my God, hey." I froze. Part of me wanted to run. Part of me wanted to scream. But I just stood there. "Hi," I said, guarded. She took a step closer. "I've been meaning to reach out." I've seen everything. The audio. The podcast. I'm so sorry. I blinked. Took you long enough. She winced. I know. I should have said something sooner. I didn't know what to believe at first. Claire was so convincing. And then when everything came out, I felt like such a coward for not standing up for you. I stared at her, unsure what to say. She shifted awkwardly. You don't have to forgive me. I get it. But I just wanted you to know I never believed you were capable of that. Not really. I was just scared of getting caught in the middle. I took a breath, held it, then said, You weren't in the middle, Lena. You picked a side. Silence. She nodded. You're right. And, just like that, I felt lighter. I didn't forgive her. Not completely. But I didn't need to carry her weight anymore. After that, more people started to crawl back, not all of them. But a few, some apologized. Some didn't. I learned to accept apologies I never received. I learned to move forward without closure. And then one day, I got a call. A job offer. A small finance firm downtown had seen the podcast episode. The hiring manager said she admired my composure, my clarity, my ethics. We want people like you here, she said. People who don't fold under pressure. I almost cried on the phone. I accepted, and just like that, I started over. New job. New apartment. New circles. I deleted old group chats. I archived photos. I blocked Claire on everything. I didn't hate her anymore, but I didn't want her anywhere near my peace. A few months later, I was out to lunch with coworkers when I saw her. Claire, she was walking down the street alone, sunglasses on, clutching a coffee cup like it was armor. Her hair was pulled back. No makeup. She looked thinner, tense. Unrecognizable, almost. For a moment, our eyes met, just for a second. She didn't smile. Neither did I. She looked away first, and I walked on. No drama. No confrontation. No bitter scene, just two strangers passing each other, like she'd always been. I used to think revenge meant screaming at someone in public. Slamming doors. Big, messy confrontations. Turns out, the most satisfying revenge is quiet. It's walking past someone who tried to ruin you, and feeling nothing. But that moment with Claire on the sidewalk, that cold glance, that tiny flicker of panic in her eyes. It wasn't the end. It was the turning point. Because I hadn't just survived her betrayal. I'd built something better in its aftermath, and now I wanted to make sure no one else fell into the same trap. You know how they say hurt people hurt people? Well, healed people can protect people. And I was starting to heal. A few weeks after I started my new job, I got an email from a woman named Jess who ran a nonprofit called TruthShare, a small but growing organization that supported victims of online defamation, false accusations, and smear campaigns. She'd heard my story through the podcast and asked if I'd be willing to speak on a panel at their upcoming event. My first instinct was to say no. I wasn't a public speaker. I wasn't a victim advocate. I was just a woman who got her life wrecked by her best friend and happened to go viral because of it. But something in Jess's message stuck with me. She wrote, "Most people suffer in silence. You didn't. And that matters more than you know." So I said yes. The panel was 3 weeks away. A virtual event hosted on Zoom. I wouldn't even have to leave my apartment. Still, I was nervous. I made bullet points. Practiced in front of the mirror. Rambled to my therapist about how ridiculous it felt that people wanted to hear from me. I'm not an expert in anything, I said. Karen smiled softly and replied, You're an expert in your experience. That's enough. So when the day came, I put on a simple navy blouse, did my makeup, lit a candle in the corner of the room, and logged on. There were 4 of us on the panel. A woman whose ex-husband spread lies about her during their custody battle. A teenager who had been falsely accused of hacking his school's network. A teacher who'd been targeted by a fake social media account, pretending to be her, and me. We took turns telling our stories. I kept mine honest, raw, but measured. I didn't dramatize it. I didn't try to sound polished. I just told the truth, what it felt like to be accused, how it shattered my self-worth, how the isolation was worse than the lie, and how piece by piece I rebuilt. When I finished, the moderator gave a soft thank you, and then my screen was flooded with tiny, Silent clapping icons from the audience. I didn't expect what happened next. Point one of the panelists, the teacher, Mia, spoke up. I just want to say, I followed your story. I didn't know you'd be here today. Your voice memo? That gave me the courage to go to my district with proof of my own. I blinked. Really? She nodded. It was the way you didn't sound angry. You sounded sad. And strong. Like you'd already decided you weren't going to let them win. I felt tears sting the corners of my eyes. Not because of pride, because of recognition, because I wasn't alone. After the panel, I stayed on a bit longer for a Q&A. People asked thoughtful questions. Some just typed in the chat, "Thank you for sharing." Or, "That happened to me too." And when I logged off that night, I felt more seen than I had in a year. It didn't fix everything, but it made something inside me settle. That night, I sat at my desk and opened a new document, and I started writing. Not a diary. Not a blog. A guide. How to survive a personal smear campaign. I wrote everything I wish someone had told me. How to document everything, even the stuff you think won't matter. How to separate your real friends from your comfortable ones. Why it's okay to grieve a friendship like a death. How to rebuild your self-trust after someone's poisoned it. What to say when people ask you if it was just a misunderstanding. I poured every piece of my pain and recovery into that document. By morning, it was 37 pages long. I sent it to Jess. She published it as a downloadable resource on the TruthShare website. Within a week, over 6,000 people had accessed it. That's when I realized I wasn't just rebuilding. I was reaching back. Offering a hand to the next woman standing at the edge of that same emotional cliff I'd been shoved off of. And Claire was falling apart. I wasn't watching closely. I'd blocked her on everything. But the internet has a way of sending you updates whether you ask for them or not. A mutual follower tagged me in a video. I didn't ask for it, but curiosity.won.it was a clip from one of Claire's Instagram lives. She looked different. Hollow. Pale. Her hair was tied back in a messy bun and her normally perfect voice sounded strained. People think I'm some villain, she said. But they don't know the whole story. They don't understand what it's like to be dragged by millions of strangers. Someone in the comments wrote, "Then maybe don't drag your own friends first." She paused. Read it. And for a moment, she just stared at the screen like she'd swallowed her own tongue. I closed the app. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt free. See, revenge isn't about humiliation. It's about power, reclaiming the part of yourself someone else tried to steal. And I had it back. Point one day, my phone buzzed with a message request. It was from Eric. I hadn't thought about him in months. At first, I considered deleting it without even reading. But something made me pause. The message was short, for what it's worth. I didn't know what she was doing. I found out after. I should have said something. I'm sorry. I didn't reply. I just let it sit there, unread. He didn't deserve closure from me. And I didn't need it from him. A few months later, I got promoted at work. Not for anything flashy, just quiet, consistent effort. Integrity. Reliability. I had a boss who saw me for what I was, not what people said I was. And I had new friends now, too. The kind who didn't side-eye me when I said no to plans. The kind who didn't flinch when I talked about therapy. The kind who texted, "Made you banana bread. Want some?" instead of, "Hey, what did you do to upset Claire?" Real ones. Ones who didn't keep score. And maybe the best part? I started laughing again, really laughing. At dumb memes. At my own clumsy dance moves. At the way my cat stole my socks when she was bored. Because life goes on. Because healing isn't a single moment. It's 100 small ones stitched together, and I was still sewing. Funny how healing doesn't feel like triumph. Not at first. You expect this cinematic moment where you rise from the ashes, hair blowing in the wind, back straight, jaw set, like a phoenix or some kind of mythic survivor. But the truth? It feels more like doing your laundry without crying. Or going 3 days without checking your ex-friend's socials. It's when you can delete an old photo without feeling like you're erasing part of yourself. When you can walk past the bar where she first introduced you to her fiancé without your stomach flipping. When your phone buzzes and, for once, you don't assume it's more bad news. That's where I was now, not soaring, but steady. Until the lawsuit. Yeah. You read that right. I didn't know Claire had it in her. I honestly thought after the internet wrecked her reputation and she got quietly booted from 3 influencer brand partnerships, she'd finally accept accountability, or at least go dark and let the damage settle, but instead, she sued me for defamation. Let me paint the scene for you. It was a Thursday morning. I was at my new office, sipping lukewarm coffee and answering emails, when the front desk buzzed my line. "There's a man here for you," our receptionist said. "He says he's from the sheriff's department." I swear my heart dropped to my knees. I walked out, and sure enough, a deputy stood there, calm and expressionless, holding a large envelope with my name on it. He handed it over and said, "You've been served." That sentence? It's real. It's cold. It feels like someone's punching you in the gut with a gloved hand. The second he left, I tore open the envelope. It was real. Claire had filed a civil suit against me for damaging her brand, citing emotional distress and loss of business opportunities. The irony of her accusing me of damaging her, I almost laughed, but I didn't. I panicked. I called Jess from TruthShare first. She answered on the second ring, her voice instantly alert. "Claire sued you." Yep. For what? For exposing the truth, apparently. Jess didn't hesitate. "I'm getting our legal advisor on the phone." Within the hour, I was talking to a woman named Marisol, sharp, calm, no nonsense. She'd seen cases like this before. "She's not going to win," Marisol said. "You have audio. Screenshots. Multiple corroborating testimonies. This is a PR stunt. A last-ditch attempt to rewrite the narrative. But it's still real," I whispered. "I still have to fight it." "In court?" "Yes," she said. "But you won't be alone." The support that followed, it was overwhelming. TruthShare offered legal aid. My podcast host, Lila, posted a statement backing me. Even Mia, the teacher from the panel, made a TikTok defending me, her own words shaking with fury. This woman is being dragged into court for telling the truth. You don't get to hurt people and then sue them when the receipts come out. That's not defamation. That's consequence. That video hit 1 million views in less than a day. Claire's lawsuit had backfired badly. The internet rallied again. But this time, I was different. This time, I didn't cower behind the curtains. I responded. I posted a video. Short. Calm. Filmed from my living room. "Hi. I've been served a lawsuit by the same person who falsely accused me of stealing from her and publicly blamed me for something I didn't do. I didn't plan to talk about this again, but I refuse to be silenced, especially not with legal threats. I have nothing to hide. And I won't stop standing in the truth just because it's inconvenient for someone else." That was it. I didn't even tag her, but it didn't matter. The comment section lit up. People offered to crowdfund my legal fees. I didn't need to. TruthShare had me covered. Others shared their own stories of being sued by narcissists, exes, former employers, people who tried to use courtrooms to punish the truth. But the most meaningful responses, they came from women who'd stayed silent. I never had the courage to speak up when my best friend destroyed my reputation. Watching you makes me feel like maybe I could try. I went through this 10 years ago. I lost everything. Thank you for showing the world what it actually looks like. And this one broke me. My daughter is 16. She's watching this unfold. I told her your story, and she said, maybe I don't have to keep forgiving my toxic friend just because we've known each other since middle school. Thank you for being her example. I cried. Ugly cried, not out of fear, out of relief, because even if Claire won, and let's be real, she wouldn't, I'd already won something bigger. My voice. My name. My power. But the lawsuit dragged on for 2 more months. Depositions. Paperwork. Legal strategy meetings. Claire's team tried to make it about clout. About how I'd gained followers and monetized her pain. Which was rich, considering she once charged $400 for Instagram shoutouts, but we stayed focused. Marisol was a beast. She poked holes in their claims like it was a sport. We submitted the voice memo. Screenshots. Claire's contradictory posts. Even old texts where she jokingly referred to me as her fall guy. When we sat across from each other at the mediation table, I didn't flinch. Claire, on the other hand, she looked like a ghost, makeup caked under her eyes. jaw clenched so tight I could hear the molars grinding. She didn't speak much. Her lawyer did all the talking, rambling about restoring reputations and navigating the trauma of cancel culture. But I didn't need to argue. The truth stood on its own. The judge dismissed the lawsuit with prejudice. That meant she couldn't refile. It was over. I walked out of that building lighter than I'd felt in a year, and as I stepped into the sunlight, phone buzzing in my pocket, I knew something had shifted. This wasn't just my story anymore. It was a message. To every woman who's been accused, abandoned, scapegoated, slandered. This was proof. You can lose everything and still come back stronger. You can speak up and still stand tall. You can fight back and win. I thought the lawsuit would be the end, that after the judge threw it out, Claire would retreat, lick her wounds in silence, maybe disappear from the internet for good. I imagined her somewhere far away from me, maybe in a yoga retreat in Sedona, or crying into her matcha in some influencer rehab center. I didn't expect what came next, because as it turns out, Claire wasn't done burning things down. She was just getting desperate. A week after the case was dismissed, a new video surfaced, not from her. From someone else, someone I hadn't thought about in a long time, Kayla. She used to be Claire's old college roommate. We'd met a handful of times at parties and group dinners, nothing deep, just polite smiles and small talk. But I remembered her as sharp, observant. Someone who didn't get sucked in by Claire's sparkle. I hadn't seen her in years. Then suddenly, she was trending on TikTok. Her video started with a plain white background, no music, no filters. Just her sitting cross-legged in a gray hoodie, looking directly into the camera. "I've kept quiet for too long," she said. "And I don't owe Claire anything anymore." That was the opening line. What followed was a complete teardown of Claire's carefully curated facade. She shared screenshots, emails, voice messages, a whole archive of digital evidence that painted a clear picture. Claire had a long history of manipulation, lies, and calculated betrayals that stretched back almost a decade. Some of it overlapped with my story. Some didn't. But all of it pointed to the same thing. Claire didn't slip up when she turned on me. She'd been doing it for years. "I saw what she did to Alyssa," Kayla said, her voice trembling just slightly. "And I didn't speak up because I didn't want the drama. But watching her sue Alyssa, that broke something in me. You don't get to destroy someone's life and then play the victim. Not again." The video hit 2 million views in less than 24 hours, and that was just the beginning. By the end of the week, 3 more women had come forward. One of them used to work with Claire on a short-lived podcast project. Said Claire stole her ideas and passed them off as her own. Another one was her ex-friend from a brand ambassador gig in LA. Said Claire sabotaged her sponsorship by spreading rumors she was stealing product. The third? Claire's former assistant. That one hurt to watch. She looked so young, barely 25, and she held back tears the whole time. "I worked for her for 6 months," she said. "She underpaid me, made me sign a fake NDA, and when I asked for time off to visit my dad in the hospital, she told me, 'You're replaceable.'" Each video hit harder than the last. Each one chipped away at the mask Claire had worn so effortlessly for years. And the public, they were done. People who once liked, followed, and reposted her content now turned on her in full force. Sponsorships dropped her. A major beauty brand publicly severed ties. Someone even started a Reddit thread archiving every incident, a digital dossier of her lies, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a victim. I felt vindicated, but also, I felt uneasy. Because while watching her world collapse should have felt satisfying, all I could feel was this low, quiet ache in my chest. Grief. I wasn't grieving her. I was grieving the version of me that once loved her, that girl who trusted so hard, who would have defended Claire against anything, anyone, who sat on her couch after breakups and brought her hangover bagels and helped her clean her room when depression made her shut the world out. That version of me was gone now, replaced by someone older, sharper, tougher, but also lonelier. Because once you've been burned like that, it's hard to let warmth in again, hard to believe in friendships the way you used to, hard to believe in yourself. Sometimes, that's what no one talks about. The aftermath of betrayal isn't just anger. It's emptiness. A big, echoing space where trust used to live. I told my therapist that in our next session. Karen nodded, her eyes soft. You lost a home, she said. I blinked. What? She felt like home, she said gently. Until she didn't. And now your body doesn't know where safety lives anymore. I burst into tears, because she was right. For so long, Claire was my safe place. Even when she sucked at showing up. Even when she made everything a competition. Even when she took and took and took, she was familiar. She knew my inside jokes. My family drama. My most embarrassing stories. Losing her felt like losing part of my own identity. I'd spent so long building myself around her that without her, I didn't know who I was anymore. But Karen helped me see something else too, that I wasn't empty. I was clearing space, making room for people who actually showed up, for friendships that weren't transactional, for love that didn't require sacrifice to be valid. And slowly, tentatively, I started letting people in again. It started with Lena. Yes, that Lena, the one from Trader Joe's who disappeared after the accusation. She texted me one night. Out of the blue, I know I don't deserve a response. But I want to make something right. Can I take you to dinner? Just to listen. I almost said no, but I was tired of holding grudges like armor.so. I said yes. We met at a quiet sushi place downtown. She wore no makeup and looked nervous. I wore a hoodie and no expectations. We didn't talk about the lawsuit. Or the videos. Or the viral takedown. She just asked how I was, and I told her about therapy. About writing. About how I still flinched when my phone buzzed with an unknown number, and she listened. She didn't offer excuses. Or defense. She just sat with the wreckage and said, I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me. And that mattered. A week later, I got coffee with Mia, the teacher from the panel. Then I reconnected with a coworker I'd always admired, but never really let in, and before I knew it, I was building again. Not the way I used to. No more blind trust. No more skipping red flags, but brick by brick, with intention, with care, I was building real, grounded, mutual friendships, ones where I didn't have to shrink. Ones where I didn't have to keep proving I was worthy, ones where I could say, that hurt, and not be punished for it. And Claire, she kept unraveling. Eventually, she posted a Notes app apology. You know, the kind, black text on a white background. Posted to her Instagram story. I've made mistakes. I'm reflecting. I hope to grow from this. No names. No direct accountability, just a bland soup of vague regret. I didn't respond. I didn't post. I didn't gloat. I just blocked her again and moved on. Because here's the thing about revenge. When you live well, when you heal, when you rise without dragging anyone else down, you don't need to say a word. Your peace speaks loud enough. You'd think after everything, the false accusation, the viral confession, the lawsuit, the public exposure, that would be the end. But people like Claire never just vanish. They slither, they regroup, they pivot, and they always try one more time to reclaim the version of themselves they can live with. That's what happened 2 months after her Notes app apology. She rebranded. I found out from a mutual acquaintance who sent me a screenshot of her new Instagram profile. Gone was the influencer aesthetic. No more pastel quotes about self-love. No more flat lays of almond milk lattes and faux gratitude captions about manifesting abundance. Now she was Claire P., survivor, mental health advocate, truth teller, truth teller. I stared at those 2 words for a solid 30 seconds, unsure whether to laugh or punch something, because there she was reinventing herself again. This time, as the victim. She deleted hundreds of old posts, unfollowed everyone she used to work with, and started posting short reels about overcoming betrayal, surviving cancel culture, and healing from toxic friendships. And in those videos, she didn't name me, but the hints were there, the passive-aggressive digs. The carefully curated story where she had been scapegoated, misunderstood, publicly destroyed by someone she once considered a sister. I watched one of them twice, just to be sure, and then I closed the app. I didn't comment. I didn't DM her. I didn't text the people who sent it to me with fire emojis, and can you believe this? Because yes, I could believe it. Claire's greatest skill wasn't cruelty. It was rewriting history, and she needed to rewrite this one, to believe her own version, to make the world believe it too. She couldn't live with being the villain. It didn't fit her aesthetic. So she pivoted, and just like before, people bought it. Not everyone, not the ones who'd followed my story closely. But enough. Her comments were full of sympathy. Thank you for sharing this. I relate so much. You're so strong for speaking up. Toxic friendships are so painful. Sending love. I won't lie. It made me feel sick because I wasn't some petty ex-friend. I wasn't jealous. I wasn't dramatic. I was telling the truth. But here she was, twisting it again, manipulating the narrative into something palatable, something she could sell. She even posted a carousel titled 5 Signs You're in a One-Sided Friendship. And the final slide, it said, if someone exposes your secrets to feel powerful, that's not healing. That's abuse. The audacity. She wasn't just gaslighting me now, she was gaslighting thousands of people watching her content, and for a second, a single, fleeting second, I felt that old heat rise in my chest, rage, grief, that deep, bone-deep urge to fight back. To post another video, drop more receipts, scream from the rooftops, she's lying. Again, but I didn't. Because that part of me, the one that needed her to break, to confess, to publicly crumble, she was tired. She'd done enough. This wasn't my war anymore. Claire could chase redemption all she wanted. She could build a whole new empire on half-truths and aesthetic trauma reels. But I wasn't going to be a character in her reboot. I'd already exited the story. Still, the fallout from her rebrand rippled through my life again in ways I didn't expect. A few people reached out, not to accuse me, but to question. One DM said, I'm trying to stay neutral, but it's really sad to see two women tearing each other down like this. Another one, Claire seems really hurt. Maybe it's time to let it go. And that one hurt the most. Because I had let it go. I wasn't posting about her anymore. I wasn't dragging her name or sending people to attack. I was healing, and healing looks like silence sometimes. But for people who didn't live through it, who didn't hear the voice memo, see the Venmo request, feel their life collapse overnight because of one woman's lie, silence can look like guilt. So I did what I always do now when I feel unsteady. I called Karen, my therapist. She listened quietly as I explain the rebrand, the DMs, the carousel slides about betrayal and toxic friends. When I finished, she asked a single question. Do you still believe the truth belongs to you? I blinked. What do you mean? You told the truth, she said gently. You lived it. You shared it. You set your side of the record straight. But now, Claire is creating her version. And that's out of your control. So the question is, do you still feel secure in the truth that belongs to you? I sat with that, let it roll around in my mind like a marble in a glass bowl. Did I? Yes, I did. Because the truth was never about her. It was about me, finding my voice, standing in my own corner, refusing to be buried under someone else's guilt. That was mine. No matter how she rebranded. No matter how many sympathy posts she shared. No matter how many people fell for her glitter-covered grief. She didn't get to take my piece again. So I muted her name, blocked new burner accounts she used to stalk me, with archived old screenshots that no longer needed to be my sword, and I lived. I kept writing, kept working, kept laughing with friends over wine and bad rom-coms. I didn't win because she lost. I won because I stopped needing her to lose it all. A month later, I hosted a small dinner at my apartment, nothing fancy, just 5 people I trusted. People who'd stayed or shown up during the storm. We made pasta. We played cards. Someone spilled red wine and no one cared. And halfway through the night, I realized this was the first time in years that I'd been in a room full of people and didn't feel like I was performing. I wasn't trying to prove I was good or loyal or worthy of love. I just was. Me, whole, safe. And as I stood in my tiny kitchen, barefoot and smiling, my cat weaving between everyone's legs like she was hosting, I caught a glimpse of myself in the microwave reflection, and for the first time since this whole thing started, I liked what I saw, not because I looked good, but because I looked like me. Not the girl who got betrayed, not the woman who went viral, just Alyssa, still standing, still soft, still here. Some stories don't end with apologies. Some people never say sorry, not because they're unremorseful, but because their entire identity depends on the lie they told about you, and that's the final lesson Claire taught me. Closure isn't about them. It's about you. It's about the way you hold your own hand when everything inside you wants to unravel. The way you start laughing again, even when part of you is still scared. It's about the quiet power in saying, I know the truth. And that's enough. It took me a long time to get there, but now, I live there. I am that space where grief and strength coexist, where old wounds whisper, but no longer scream, where I finally feel like I belong to myself again. The truth is, when you survive someone's betrayal, you don't go back to who you were before. That version of you, the trusting one, the soft one, the one who thought forever was a promise instead of a risk, she's gone. But what grows in her place? She's someone else entirely, wiser, sharper, still soft, but steel beneath the softness, still kind. But no longer willing to bleed for people who'd watch her drown. That's who I am now, and that's who I was the day I ran into Claire one final time. It was 6 months after her mental health advocate rebrand. I was walking through Piedmont Park with my friend Serena. We just finished brunch and were heading to the botanical garden. It was a warm, breezy Sunday. My hair was pulled up, my heart light, and then, there she was, Claire, sitting on a bench under a tree, alone. She looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically, but energetically. The glow she used to carry, that magnetic, everything is about me aura, it was gone. She had on oversized sunglasses, but I knew she saw me. I felt her gaze land on me like a cold breeze. Serena didn't notice. She was busy telling a story about a bad Tinder date, and I didn't interrupt her. I just kept walking, and that was it. I didn't flinch. Didn't tighten my jaw or hold my breath or brace for some dramatic encounter. I just walked. It felt like shedding a final layer of skin, like walking out of a story that was never really mine to begin with, because I wasn't the villain she made me out to be, and I wasn't the victim either. I was the survivor. I rebuilt my life from a pile of lies someone else threw at my feet. And I did it with no roadmap, no instruction manual, no guarantee that I'd ever feel safe again. But I did it. If you're reading this or listening to this, depending on how this story found you, and you've been through something like this. If someone made you doubt yourself, isolate you, silence you, if you're still carrying the weight of a betrayal you never deserved, let me say this. You are not weak. You are not crazy. You are not wrong for believing people can be good, but now you get to believe in yourself. That voice inside you, the one that whispered, something isn't right, listen to her next time. She's your compass. She's not broken. She just got drowned out by the noise of someone else's manipulation. I used to think healing would come with a big moment, some public reckoning where Claire would get on her knees and confess everything. But healing, it came in the smallest things. The day I opened my bank account and saw my first freelance paycheck from a client who found me because of my story. The night I hosted my first dinner party since the fallout and laughed so hard I nearly spit wine across the table. The morning I woke up and realized I hadn't thought about her in days. And then there was this moment, writing all this down. Speaking it out loud. Giving it a beginning, middle, and end. Not for revenge, not for validation, but for me, because stories have power, and for so long, she controlled mine. Now, it's mine again, fully, finally, and I know this won't reach everyone. Some people will always choose the shinier version of the truth. The one that fits their bias. The one that paints you as unstable, bitter, vindictive, because it's easier to digest a villain than a complex, nuanced person who simply had enough. But the people who matter, they'll hear you. They'll believe you, and more importantly, they'll see you, fully, messily, beautifully, just like I've come to see myself. And if Claire ever reads this, if you ever stumble across these words, this voice, this story, know this. I don't hate you anymore. I don't even need you to understand what you did. I just hope you learn. Not for my sake, but for yours, because the weight of living a lie, of pretending you're the one who was wronged, it will rot you from the inside out. I know. I watched it happen. I've forgiven myself for not seeing you clearly, for loving you through your worst, for standing beside you while you sharpen the knife. And that forgiveness, that's where my freedom lives now. You taught me how to spot a liar in pearls. How to listen to my gut before my guilt. How to walk away before I'm pushed. I carry those lessons with me, and I carry me, the new version. The woman who still believes in connection, but no longer sacrifices herself for it. The woman who tells the truth, even when it shakes. The woman who was blamed for a theft she never committed and turned that accusation into a movement. So if you're still here, listening, here's your permission slip. To cut ties. To speak up. To rebuild. You don't need the whole world to believe you. You just need to believe yourself, because that's where your power is, and no one, not even a manipulative ex-friend with a pretty filter and a polished story, can take that from you. Not ever again.